Hey there everyone and welcome to Complete Backend Development using Django. So we are back again and we're going to be creating one more project, and there are a couple of things that you should know before we move on. So this is the project that we'll be creating, and this is a really simple project. We just have a couple of commands that we want to remember, and we're going to be writing them down, and you can just put a mark there that hey, this was the command that I somehow was having a problem last time. Not much a big deal. The basic idea is somehow to just create this, but there are a couple of things that you should be aware of and you might be thinking. Now, obviously, you can create this project, this kind of project totally on a front end, but we don't want to do that. We are into a backend course, so we want to do that using backend. So all the things right now are static here, completely just being driven from this one application, but we don't want to do that. We want to fetch all of this data using a database. Okay, so that's our primary goal. This is our very first interaction of the database. And by the way, just to let you know that Django is completely flexible and open to a variety of database. That includes SQLite, MariaDB, Postgres. Usually I've seen application using Postgres, but that's a choice of a lot of people. You don't have to follow that, but it's an amazing database. And also for a decent kind of application, SQLite, which comes as a by default, ships in with Django, is absolutely awesome to work on with it. Now, also, I would like to notice one more interesting thing that a lot of people make mistake here is this is just a one-page file. This is again what we'll be working with. Now, notice I have included the CSS in just the same file here, which is not at all a good practice. And for these kinds of application, nobody is going to recommend that. But just completely ignore that for a moment. We haven't learned how to deal with the static file as of now. I just want to just put up baby steps here. Once we learn that how we can interact with the database, of course, in the future application, we're going to learn how we can put all these files in a separate application and can work on with that. But again, just one thing at a time. So this is our template that we'll be looking forward and we'll be using it here. The target here is to get started with database. Okay, so let's open up our Django exercise folder, and we have successfully completed 2 projects. That's actually a good news. So let's just create 03 and we're going to call this as project 3. There we go. Nice and easy. And inside this, we are going to call this application as simply command reminder or CMD, kind of a thought, something like that. So let me just first of all fire up my terminal. There we go. We're going to go into desktop, and then we have Django exercise file 03 and project 3. Okay, the important question is, what should we call it? Let's just say that we are going to call this as Django admin. We want to start project, and we're going to call this as command R, just for command reminder. I don't want to just spell it whole out here. So command R. Okay. Now notice how quickly Django was able to create this project. This is remarkable. Now there we go. Command R is here. So that's a good news. And what I can do is I can close this down and I can create a new window. There we go. We have a fresh panel here. And this is our command R. Drag and drop. There we go. Nice and easy. Okay. Now we want to create a command. We want to create an app inside it. So first of all, we're going to go into command R, make sure to do a ls, and you are able to see manage.py here. Okay. So let's just run this file. So we're going to call up our Python 3 manage.py, and we're going to start a new app. And what we should call it, let's just call it as CMDR. And I think CMDR or maybe commands. I'm a little bit confused here. So CMDR is actually going to be fine. Okay, so we are having a CMDR here. Let's just make sure that our app is, our entire project is being aware of this new app, CMDR. So what is the first thing that we do? Yep, you remember that exactly. We just go back here in the settings.py and we add that app, and surprisingly a very strange name, command R. I know a lot of people are going to be saying that, hey, this is not a good name, but this is what we have. Okay, now let's talk about your very first database here. Okay, we're gonna just talk about it. Now, all of the database related thing actually goes into this models.py. This is where we're gonna write all of our things. Now, also, in case you did notice that whenever you run your application, there is always an admin.py. So the next step is, once you have written all of your models and how you want your database actually to be created, then you have to register your model in this admin file. So that there is a really amazing thing. Let me just show you that if I just run the server, there is already the amazing thing here. So let's just say Python 3 manage.py, and if I just run server, and there we go. Notice we are not migrating yet, but still we are able to copy this. And to your very surprise, we already are having an amazing app already running here. And if I just say /admin, there is an amazing admin panel that we haven't yet explored. That's a good news. So right now we don't know the username or password. But the important point that you should take from here is that we'll be writing all of our models here, means database queries, how to fetch from database, how to insert in the database and all such things. And then we'll be registering it to admin.py. What is going to happen magically, all of your things is going to take a graphical look. You don't have to do much of the things, and then you can just fetch it using admin dashboard there. Okay, that sounds really exciting. So that's it. That's all what we're going to do in this very first video. Again, baby steps. In the next video, we're going to talk about what is the first interaction with this database. So let's go ahead and let's catch up in the next video. Hey there everyone, and welcome to Complete Backend Development using Django. So the next thing that we'll be doing, so far we haven't done much. We have just created an app and we have registered this app in the settings.py so that our app is actually aware, or our entire project is aware about this new app. Okay, that's it, nothing much. Now, whenever you want to use any database, there are a couple of different things that we have to do. So far, we have been just running this app directly. We are just saying Python 3 manage.py run server. But when you want to use your database, in this case, we are using SQLite 3, which is a really easy database. For beginners, I highly recommend this. But surely, Django can use Postgres or Maria or whatever you want to use, even a Firebase. But let's just say we want to use it. So the first command that we're going to learn is Python 3 manage.py and migrate. And this is the error that you have been seeing so far in the red, that you haven't migrated. This is actually the initial execution. And this migrate command is there to create an initial database based on Django's default setting, whatever they are, how the tables used to look like, an admin and all of that. This is the basic one. So first of all, just do that. Okay. So it has run few migrations like admin, auth, content type, sessions, and all these things, and they are just there in your database. You don't even have to worry about it. And that's really a good thing about that. And now if you're going to run that command again, Python 3 manage.py run server, notice that there will be no red errors now. It's just all good. And it just says, you know what, now you can access that. So this is the only command that we have been skipping so far, which was giving us some error. Now going back onto this, if I just go back here, notice it's all good, but there is still one thing. We don't know about what is the username and password of this because we haven't created it, and a couple of more things that we're gonna go ahead and work. So now let's just go back here, and what we can do next is work on our models. So this is the first time that you are getting interacted with your models. So first I'm gonna create a model, and then I'm going to give you some of the reading materials because reading is all good. And most of the time in your programming career, you will be reading a ton of documentation. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now notice here, already there is one command that says from django.db import models. And this is the models that we will be working quite a lot in here. First of all, let's create our model. And it is again nothing much. It's just a class, okay? So now whatever you want to call your class as well, you can call that. I'm going to call this as CMD, or as just for command here, or you can call it as CMDR just for the consistency purpose, but you feel free to call it anything. Next up, we're going to call it as models.model. Now notice this is exactly like what we have been doing in the template view. Exactly whatever it is, we're going to just keep it here. Okay, that's fine. Absolutely good. Now, after that, in the definition of this class, what we want to do is we want to say, I need a text field here, and it's going to come up from models dot text field. So this is a variable that I'm creating here, and there we go. And this is good. Okay. Now the obvious question is, it is very clear that it's going to create a text field, but what are the other options that I do get when I'm creating models? Because there can be text field, there can be dates, there can be like input forms and all these things. So for that, we're going to go on to our browser and let me show you what are the other fields that you can access. You can just go onto the docs.djangoproject.com. This is the second version of that. And these are the field options that we get here. There are a couple of here as well, but here notice the field type on the right hand side. There is auto field, there is binary field, boolean, char, date field, date time. There is email field as well, floating. There is an image field as well. Text field, which is one which we are using right now, simple text field. There we go. But there are a lot of others, I highly recommend you to check out this database here, this documentation here. Really good. We will be exploring a couple of more as we go ahead and progress in this app. But right now, this is it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is let's just go back here. And this all looks absolutely good. So it's going to create a text field. But obviously, the question is, where is it going to create the text field? This is going to create a text field inside your admin. Okay. But not just like you have typed it and it's going to do that. It doesn't really work like that. You have to make this migrations here as well. Okay, so how we're going to do that, let me just show you. First of all, just remember whatever you have called this. I have called this as this app as command R. Okay, so let's go in here and hit Control C, and now notice a couple of more commands that we're going to learn. This is again being done by manage.py, and we're going to call this as make migrations, and we want the migration to be happen for our app. Notice here we're going to write our app name, which is command R. Whatever insanely crazy name you have given to your app, just make sure you type just exactly same that. Okay, so it says command R. Okay, did I type it correctly? Command R. It was not able to find it. Command R. Okay, it was CMDR. Command R is actually my project name, so mistakenly there, and it's CMDR. Again, my bad. CMDR. Come on. Okay, so this is now migration done. Again, I'm still on the same thought here, that whatever your app name is, not the project name, whatever your app name is here. I know I have done an insanely bad job in naming the things, but again, make sure you just write exactly same. So this is your preparation for migration. You haven't done any migration yet. The next thing that you have to do is you have to tell it that, hey, manage.py, please migrate that. So you have to say migrate. You have to say migrate and then the name here, and in this case it's CMDR. Let me type that, CMDR. Okay, let's hit enter there, and there we go. Now notice one more interesting thing here, that whenever you have written anything inside the models, make sure you just whenever you just update anything inside this file, just go ahead and do that. Okay, things are looking good, but notice we still don't have any admin thing here. So we need to generate the ID and password for this admin. How we're gonna do that? Again, this manage.py is everything here. Super easy. And we're gonna say create super user, and that's it. Python 3 manage.py create super user. It says what's your username. If I leave it blank, it's gonna call it as studio, which is my computer's name. I'm gonna call this as my name, which is very long. Email address, and let's just say I'm going to type in my email address, and the password. It's not going to show you the password, but make sure it's actually really a good password. So now our super user is created. Now finally we can actually log in into our database or the admin panel. So again, this command manage.py is going to be super helpful for running the server as well. So we're going to call this as run server. There we go. So everything is awesome, but notice we are still missing one key part. I told you in one of the video that, hey, this is where you write all of your models, how many fields you want, and then you register it to the admin.py. So we have done it one part, but we haven't done the other part, but we're gonna do that. Wait for a second. So let's go here, and I'm gonna just hit a quick reload there. And now my username and my password, and I'm gonna hit login. There we go. I haven't done any single code, and still these all things which are so nice is actually available for me. And the best part is these all are mobile friendly as well. This is the great thing that they have updated in Django too. Notice everything is just mobile friendly here. So this is one key element that they have done. Now we are not able to see our text field yet, and you obviously have got the reason that we haven't registered our models in our admin.py. We're gonna do that, but the video is getting too long, so let's just break that here. I know this is really smooth. We want to go absolutely at a slow pace. That's it for this video, and let's catch up in the next video.
Hey there everyone, and welcome to complete backend development using Django. So notice we have created a pretty good thing in the last video. We have logged in into the database here using admin, created a couple of models, and just you remember we haven't registered that to admin.py. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna register our models right now here. And registering the models is actually really simple. The first thing that we have to do is import our models, and we always are going to do that just like this. From .models, this is what we are importing, and what you want to import is whatever you have written. In this case, I want to import the CMDR. Notice my classes name are absolutely bizarre, but I think you can do a better job than me. So there we go. And now the next line that you always have to write is admin.site.register, so that we can register at the admin, and then you have to pass on whatever you are importing here. In this case, CMDR. So I'm going to just copy and paste that. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Now, absolutely, you have registered your models here. And in this case, we might need to restart our server, and our server got restarted automatically. Sometimes you might want to just shut down it and want to restart that because we are interacting with the database now. So hit a quick reload and notice CMDRS is just right here. Notice we haven't done anything. Add, change, all these functionalities totally for us. Now let's just hit the add button here, and notice we are having a text field here. If we would have said that we want something else field, it would be there for us. Notice we are having a save, add another, save and continue editing, and save feature here. This is amazingly insane. So we're going to call this as simply first command. I know this is not even a command, but let's just have it. So we're going to say just like save and continue editing, and there we go. This is now there, and notice you can even delete that. We haven't written this functionality at all. This is really the superpower of Django. So we're going to just hit the save here, go back here. Notice it says CMDR object 1. That is something interesting. We can add a couple of more as well. Let's just try and add one more. Notice here we have got add CMDR. Hit that, and we're going to call this as command 2, and let's just save this. And notice it's an object 2. Obviously it's being stored as an object, but you know what, I'm not liking how these are called as an object, so we want to change that a little bit. So where do we need to change that? Obviously in the models, you guessed it right. So now we're going to do that. Inside our class we can add one more predefined method which is they're responsible for this naming. So what you can do is you can simply say def, which is for defining, and underscore. Yes, these are 2 underscore. Looks like 1, but they are 2. str underscore. Again 2. And then we're going to call this constructor as self. And there we go. Now, here you can directly return whatever you like to return. In this case, you can just simply say self.text and whatever you like to call it. So self.text. Now, as soon as I do this, save that, what I need to do is just hit a reload. And there we go, hit a reload. And notice first command and two commands. So these are now much better, I would call them as. And obviously you can just go here, can change them, edit them, and notice we didn't need to write the edit functionality as so far as concerned. So this is really amazing. You can add as many as you like from the admin panel. This is so great. But there is one thing missing here, and that thing is, so far we are getting into database and everything, but there is no way that we can fetch things from the database and can display them on some template or some command. And here actually comes up our this guy which we'll be using. Again, this is a single page documentation that or single page application that we are using. Right now we haven't learned that how we can use CSS and static files here. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll give you a start ahead that go ahead just before me and try to do exactly same thing. Just create a new template file, register that in the application, and try to create a new folder there and all of that. You can find this exercise file for this as button.html into your Django exercise file. So go ahead, go before me and try to do at least the templating part before me. And I'll catch you up in the next video.
Hey there everyone, and welcome to complete backend development using Django. So this is your button.html. Surprisingly, it's named as button, but this is the file that we will be using. So your goal was simply to just set this up as a separate template and just run it. That's it. So I just wanted to bring your attention here that we're using unordered list and list items here. And this is something that we are facing for the first time in this course, and this is your learning step again. So we'll be walking through again. So go into your app, in this case my CMDR, go into the views.py file here, and notice we are importing a render here from Django.shortcuts. But there are a couple of other things that we can do here, and instead of just importing renders and all these things, what we can do is actually import Django.views, and here we can import generic here. Now, what we're going to be importing from this generic is list view. Notice we are using a list view here, so we can take advantage of inbuilt feature of Django as well and can import itself as a list view. In this case, it's not really a big deal whether you import it or not, but it's actually a good thing if we are having these things, so why not import them? Okay, and also what we want to do is we want to import models here as well. So import models, from models, import whatever the class you have created. In this case, we have just created one class, which is surprisingly named as CMDR. So just go ahead and import that. Okay, so these two things are ready. So obviously we need to create our view, and this is the first time that we'll be taking something from the database. Okay, so we're going to create a class, and we're going to call this as, let's just call this as home page view. And previously we were just importing this template view and all these things. This time we're going to be calling this list view here. Okay, so in this our home page view, we have got a list view, and we know our same variable is going to be used, template underscore name. That is going to be equal to, we haven't created that, but obviously we're going to be calling it as home.html in a minute. Just wait with me. Okay, but the important part is, how do we actually get access to all of our database here? Now notice we have imported this models here. This models is going to be responsible for holding or getting all or fetching all the data from the database. And what we have to do is we have to get a variable. Let's just call this as model, and that model is going to be equals to whatever you have imported. So in this case I have imported just one class, so I'll be calling that. So now that's it. That's it. You have got imported all of your database in just one variable, and you can access anything, whatever you like here. We will be accessing it, so things will get much more clear here in a minute. But first of all, we have to go through with again the same things that we have done it. So right click onto the project directory here, and we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this as templates, and we have done this previously as well, so no big deal there. And inside the templates, we're going to create a new file. We're going to call that as home.html. There we go. And this home.html will be a copy of this button. So I'm going to copy all of the things from the button. I'm going to paste that here directly. No, nothing at all. So there we go. Make sure you save the views.py file as well. What next we have to do? We have to register that into the settings as well. So let's just go into settings.py and then let's just look for these templates, and we have to remember that dir thing. Yes, we have to do that again. So we're going to be calling as os.path.join, and then we have to join it to the base directory. So we're going to be calling it as base_dir, and let's join up one more thing, which is templates. There we go. Now our Django is aware that we have to look for the templates inside this templates directory. Okay, that is pretty good. Okay, looks pretty good. And what we can do now, that is all done. Let's go into the home.html, and notice we are having a couple of list views. First of all, I would like to get rid of them because I don't need 3, I just need 1. Okay, that looks good. Now, once I have this guy, what I want to do is I want to repeat the things from the database. So I want to repeat this entire li. So again, I'll be using curly braces, 2% sign, and then I'll be writing my for loop here. So I'm going to be saying for p, or for kind of a command for c in, and then your object list. Okay, now this is a little bit tricky part. Some of you might not be getting it, but let me try to explain that. If I go back onto the browser here, in case you didn't notice, these all are objects, and this is all an object list. Okay, so in the Django we do come up with this thing, and what we have to do for such kind of looping is for c in, or whatever you call that, this is a variable named c here, we just have to say object underscore list. Okay, and by the term object underscore list, I mean to say these object lists. We have changed their name by using the string constructor there, but these by default are just object list. So that is why we call them here. Okay, this is the part 1, and wherever you want to end your loop, just write this here. Okay, so we're going to be saying curly braces again, %, and then here we'll be ending it. So we're going to say end for. So we are ending our for loop here. Okay, that is pretty good. So this entire thing will be repeated again and again here. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, but we are missing one thing. So where we're going to write our data, notice this C is actually containing all of our data. So we'll be replacing it here. Instead of the CD, we're going to use curly braces again. Okay, now here is a little bit surprising thing for you that you might not digest. Previously, so far we have been doing curly braces and then %. Now we use this % whether we want to use either for loop or some variable things, or want to use some commands like URL. But if you just want to use a variable here, what you can do, you can use 2 set of curly braces and then can write your variable name here just like this. So the C, which is holding all the object list, we can just write it directly like that. Okay, now most of the things are done. You can call it there. But notice our app, we haven't created our base thing, which is url.py. So we have to just do that. Don't forget, a lot of time people just forget about that, so we don't do that. Okay, it would be pretty easy. First of all, in the paths, we are going to include. There we go. We have done it so many times, nothing to be worried. And here I'm going to hit enter. Then for the path, this is going to be at my root directory, and I'm going to say include, and then whatever the name of your application is, and weirdly my application name is cmdr, and from that I want to use URLs. Okay, but there is an issue. I haven't got my URLs here in the cmdr, so no big deal. I can create that, and I'm going to call that as urls.py, and without an issue I can copy paste a few stuff. It's always good in these frameworks to copy and paste. Get rid of this admin, we don't need you. And obviously we'll be needing path, but we'll be not needing this include. We don't need admin as well. We just in fact need one line. And what we're going to do is we're going to include our views. So from views, okay, and what we did called it here, views, It's home page view. So copy that, and I'm gonna coming up here, views dot home page view. Obviously this needs to be rendered as view, just like that. And obviously it's always good to give them a name, whether you want to use them or not. Maybe in the future you want to use them. And I'm gonna put a comma there just for the housekeeping purposes. Okay, so quite a lot of stuff that we have done in this just one video. And I know it's gonna take a little bit time to digest, but this is all what we have. And let's just see, and there we go, cmdr.urls.py. It hasn't found that. Okay, so let me just try to control C and run that again. Okay, views is not defined. Okay, we forgot to import the views. There we go. We can do that now quickly. And in the URL patterns, we can go at the top and we can simply say from current directory import views. Okay, problems are always a part of development. Okay, I'm gonna try to hit the control C and try to run that again, and this time it should run with no issues at all. There we go, absolutely fine. I can copy this and copy, and already it's running, but I just wanted to run it again. And notice first command and command 2. That is awesome, and you already guessed it from where it's fetching all the things. And in case you are still worried about that, you can go up here, add a command, and now we're gonna say we are going to learn one more command, which is mkdir. And mkdir stands for make a new directory. This is the command I want to remember. I'm gonna hit the save. I'll go back here. It's obviously not gonna fetch everything automatically. I have to hit a reload. There we go. And finally it is doing all these things. The great part about the Django is I can just go back here. You know what? Command 2 is not looking good. So I'm going to go back here. Instead of command 2, I'm going to write cd, which is a command so that you can change directory. There we go. Save that. And there we go. We haven't written any single functionality about CRUD database, which is create, read, update, and delete, but still we are able to do that. Go back to this tab and hit a reload. There we go. It has been edited. So there we go. Really a remarkable project that we have done within a few seconds, and this is all powerful because of the Django. We are given with such an amazing admin interface that we can utilize it to the best. So if you want to create your own application like blog or something, you can obviously do that really quickly in Django. So I think we have enjoyed quite a lot. Go ahead, rewatch the video. We have done a couple of things in here and there, moving and opening a lot of files. Again, remember, try to watch these at the top. Which one is CMDR? This is the project level. And when it's a short one, it's just CMDR here. So again, I know, I can understand it can be a little bit confusing. But regardless of that, congratulations on this project, and I'm really happy for you. That's it for this video, and I'll catch you up in the next one.